So now I would like to congratulate the third hospital to achieve
to deliver care to patients. The MRAM was originally developed back in 2005.
See that kind of thing much more than other places. We also are a manufacturing society, more in terms of GDP value. And this is also a case in point where we need to discuss about public health versus medical health. As far as public health is concerned, even though I know nothing about it, it's something to look after the mass in the healthcare system. In medical hub, you can also venture into looking into the production of new medical equipment, of new system, of telemedicine, and so on. So how to balance the two without disturbing the budget for public health, and how to make sure that the private sector would jump in order to invest more. CPAP is a very good example. I'm using CPAP at night time. I don't know what. And when talking to the doctor, she was saying that there are a lot of customers, okay? And there are a lot of patients who do not know that they need this equipment. And the last word she left for me is, how can Thailand produce the equipment ourselves? It's quite expensive. It's probably about 50,000 baht per unit. And to me, it's rather simple, but probably it's not technically when you talk about how to operate it. So I'm saying all these because things are changing very fast at the pace where we need to run, cannot walk. If you talk about other technologies, maybe you can walk along, but for digital, you need to run and run fast. Why? Because once you are trying to budget your system and to create and to produce something, if you are not quick enough, by the end of the day, technology changes again. You reinvest again. You retrain again. That's a lot of expense. But worse is the time wasted. Okay? So in this game, you need to do it right and timely. Okay? And that's why I say this conference is timely. If you talk about Thailand, I'm pretty sure we are in an era where digital transformation is happening, but a lot of people still do not realize it. Because, they absorb technology, especially digital technology, without knowing that the consequence of that absorption and utilization will pave the way for new ways of doing things, new way of living, new professions. In the future, there'll be a lot of automation, right? A lot of AI, a lot of robotics in hospitals as well. What we are worried today is the impact of this automation, especially in the production sector for employment. They need less employment, more machine, more precision machine. I don't know whether that's going to happen in hospitals or healthcare sector, but please consider it. Because after all, it's not only investment, it's not only digitization, but you also need to take care of the people, of their career, and of their reskilling, if it's needed, and of their income for social stability. I'm mixing all this to make sure that we are at the same wavelength and frequency, that disruption has arrived. And more will come, just like climate change. It will come. And a lot of big companies are now suffering because of this disruption, as far as I know. On the other hand, with this disruption, small companies are rising. Take the ride-sharing business. Okay, so let me say that in conclusion about this big picture, I think globally we start to feel it. In Thailand, the evidence is quite staggering. Now, in terms of mobile subscription, we have 150% penetration, meaning one person in Thailand does not carry only one mobile phone. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. Secondly, broadband. Broadband means using the equipment in the way that you can apply more applications than usual, right? In Thailand now, if you talk about the figure in relation to number of villages in Thailand, Thailand is now reaching 75% penetration. And by the end of this year, the whole country, every village will be connected to high-speed internet. Isn't that going to provide a lot of opportunities? For the first time, we are going to talk less about digital divide. We are going to talk more about digital opportunities. Isn't that true? Think about it. And that's why I say digital transformation is coming. It's really coming. A lot of firms are now surveying the utilization of digital technology, of social media, of internet, of Facebook. Lately, they claim that Thailand is at the top of the world. For better or for worse, we are spending about, on average, 5 hours per day messing around with this chat, you know, entertainment, videoing, reading what others are complaining, and worst of all, forwarding. Or best of all, it depends what you forward. My job is to stop them from forward the bad stuff. Okay. So it highlights the fact that we are now entering the era that we are not so familiar, but we are using it. The gap between, not the rich and the poor yet, but the gap between the older generation and the younger generation is widening. Last month I was in Singapore. I was talking to this founder of the video game organizer, Garena, and we discussed about e-sport. Many of you may probably still confused what e-sport is all about. It sounds nice. It's video game, okay? But it may be an industry by itself. It may enter Olympics, who knows? It's paving the way for that. And if you can see the flashes of excitement in the e-sport arena, you start to realize that it's a big gap between you and those on stage. I even met a young guy in his 20s. He's a Thai. He's now the e-sport commentator. Global level, he travels all over the place. It's just like boxing. It's just like football. And he's making a lot of money. So things are changing. You are behind. I'm behind. But my job is I cannot be behind. So the drive to enter the digital economy and digital society must be driven by you. If you are private sector, do more, invest more. If you are the users, well, try to get people to understand what what is going on? This is going on in a scale where, well, if you talk about Facebook, what is it? 450 million records were used illegally. Now I'm going to the dark side of cyber. And there were cyber attacks here and there, and everywhere, let me tell you. It's just whether you know it or not. And this is happening also in parallel. I'm going to warn you point blank. In the medical field, in the public health field, you must be aware and fence yourself from these incoming activities, illegal activities. Okay, I'll tell you more what we are doing. So let me, can I go back to the very first one? Yes. The three principle is quite simple. In going to develop our country, as an example, we need to strategically think about how we are going to deal with national development from the digital side. We can certainly do a lot for Bangkok people. But in my view, if Thailand is going to be more sustainable and gain competitiveness and improve our quality of life, it must be the common man elsewhere, high up in the mountain, far away, disadvantaged, someone who never have a chance to do things that we are doing now in metropolitan area. So that's why I say reduce this disparity first. And I'm sure, economists would argue, that I should be working more with the large companies, large entities, and it will trickle down. In my view, it hasn't been trickled down for many decades now. It stayed up there, 10%, leaving the 80% behind. So we're not going to do that. And from telecommunication point of view, we are talking about provide availability, provide accessibility, and provide affordability to the people so that they can have access and make use of these wonderful gadgets called telecommunication equipment, called communication, called information technology, and so on. We are doing that. Number two, to just have this fiber optics satellite signal doesn't mean much. It's meaningful, the fact that they can communicate better. But the real meaning is the value addition to this infrastructure. And that is how they can deploy them so that they can make more money. Put it very simply. And if they have more money, especially at the rural economy, community economy, then things will start improving. And the whole nation can move on rather quickly. And that's sustainability. And number three, the workforce. This is a big headache for all governments throughout the world. Short of talents, number one, not knowing what to do when unemployment catch up with automation and with digital technology. And number three, how to reskill the workforce who are still illiterate on digital technology. This is a big challenge for all governments. And now if you notice, a lot of governments, proactive ones, are now offering scholarships to students overseas to come to their home country and then study. That's okay, no problem. But Thailand has to have a good strategy in not only maintaining but also to develop the young generation into the digital world. Can I have the next slide, please? This slide sums up what we are going to do, what we have been doing and what we are going to do for 2018. Only 5 things, no more, no less. I cannot do more because I will not finish anything. So I'll do just 5 things. This is tough enough. Number 1, digital infrastructure. I just highlight a few because there's too many things to inform you. Number one, as I mentioned, it's crucial for Thailand to reach the community level. 75,000 villages will have access to broadband, to high-speed internet by the end of this year. We need to do that, and we need to do it very fast. Last year we tried very hard, and that's why this year we are kind of feeling good that we can accomplish it. Last year we installed fiber optics to 24,700 villages, 1 year alone. This year we have about 19,000 left, so we think we can complete it. But the better news is, since last year we have experimented with a number of villages, how they can earn more money from fiber optics. Okay. Under my ministry, there is the Postal Service. Okay. And this is very timely. Last year I told them, this is a time for you to reform into Postal Service of the 21st century. Because mailman has only 5 letters per day. And the salary is getting higher and higher. So we need to reform. One of the things they can do very easily is provide e-commerce service. Why? Because they are taking care of the toughest part of e-commerce, and that is e-delivery, e-logistics. Okay. The rest are easy. E-marketplace, develop a platform in front of the screen. Make sure it's popular. E-payment, piece of cake now. Because of the high security we have, because of the understanding of the public that they receive money faster than cash. COD we still supply, cash on delivery, we still supply because there's still some villagers who want to see the real banknotes and coins. Better yet, I can also use my Postal Service office. There are about 5,000 of them throughout the country, to act as the middleman. In business terms, to act as escrow. Guarantee that the villagers will get the money. Money comes through the post office, the parcel goes. Okay. And we make sure that the villagers will get the money. Okay. Postal Service get a little interest during that day. That's good enough because the volume of trade is huge. We have now installed to about 200 villages, very successful, simple equipment. And of these 200, it's not only the individuals, but also the small shops, the mom and pop stores, who are dying because they cannot compete with the modern trade. And this is a thing that will revive them, because they will now have fresh products on their shelves. They will now be able to sell through e-commerce to customers outside of their villages. So this is what we are trying to do, and hopefully we can do about 5,000 this year. Okay. Number 2 is submarine cable. Well, we try to link ourselves to the world. We now have had about 6 major submarine cable networks throughout the world, in conjunction with many partners, 20, 30 of them throughout the world, from east to west, north to south. Our goal today is to try to link to One Belt, One Road of China, for whatever reason that you may know already. Number 3 is digital laws. I need to say this because it will impact you also. I would mention, let's say, 2 laws. One is data protection. We just sailed through the cabinet last Tuesday. And you need to understand, because tomorrow the European Commission will launch effective deployment of their data protection law called GDPR. Data protection, GDPR, general data protection regulation. Tomorrow, they said they're going to enforce it. As to how it will affect hospitals, you need to hurry up and think about it, especially when you have foreign patients. The European can be quite serious about how you handle the foreign data inside your property. Okay. To cut it short, you need to have some kind of standard procedure to take care of the data and declare that it's very well looked after. The consent, number one. The objective of using that data must be clear. The right of the data owner to reject the data that you are handling, their data, their own data, or to ask for deletion, or to ask for corrected, and so on. So you need to go through the GDPR to look how you have to. And I think it will first start business to business, I think, because government to government, they need time. Number two is cybersecurity. As I mentioned, nobody is safe anymore. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic. And it's not only the business, it's also hospitals. Look at last year when WannaCry happened. It affected the NHS of the UK in a significant way. Okay? It's quite crucial because all of a sudden your patient's data is locked and they ask for ransom. And you don't pay money, you pay Bitcoin. Give us a bad name. But it's happening, and it's going to happen again. Okay? So be careful. Please invest in your IT department, in your digital department. I'm not saying for them, but I'm saying what I'm seeing today, that you need to be very careful. Okay? National digital ID is also something we try to do. Very difficult. We are hopeful that we will finish it this year between the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Digital. We're trying to set up a platform whereby the identity of a person can be identified without any physical matter. But the platform must be very secure, and the platform must be very, I would say, reconfirmable by many parties, not just one party. It's gonna save a lot of money, save a lot of time, save a lot of hassles. And it's sort of a cashless society, but this is the identity part. So this is something that we are trying to do. On manpower, well, retrain and reskill is the key word for this decade, I would say. Everybody needs to have some kind of digital knowledge, more or less. And when you need to reform or when you need to re-engineer your workplace, then you will find it easier and can escape the unemployment type of feeling in the workplace to a more productive re-employment. Startups, medical startups, I think is very interesting. And here, I think Thailand has about 8 fields of startup today, led by fintech, tourism, agri-tech, medtech, property tech, and so on. But we find medical tech very promising. We see new companies coming up for patient care, for the aging society, for the disabled, and so on. There are many examples, but I think you need the brain power of the young generation to be very creative. You need to invite them and to get them to understand what your operation is all about. That's what I'm doing. Not in the medical field though. The other day I invited about 40 startups and then show them about the open data of the government, led by the weather data. We have the meteorological department is also under the digital ministry. So we show them all the data that we have, the weather, the temperature, the humidity, and so on. And we challenge them. You startups, you be creative. You use our data, government data, and get some new business up and running. And then we'll find you venture capital to co-invest with you. Maybe this is something that in medical field it can be management style, it can be the hard, the deep technology kind of thing, or it can be just how to deploy the power of GPS, of IoT, and of the simple mobile phone to provide convenience, to provide service, and so on. So this is also, I think, in my view, very exciting. In terms of digital technology, I just highlight a few keywords for you. We now secure a big plot of land in the area where we call Eastern Economic Corridor, which is a major national development today. For our part, the digital part, we will create this called the so-called Digital Park Thailand, whereby companies, universities, government agencies can come together to innovate. So there'll be a lot of new ecosystem, including the establishment of the National IoT Institute, Internet of Things, so that they can create a lot of new products and service for all sectors, if I may. Smart city, in medical field, maybe it's relevant. Let me just give you a few examples. In Phuket Island, as we know, is a tourist destination. So we have been working with the local authority and private sector to make sure that the tourists can have all kinds of convenience that they need once they step on Phuket Airport. Now we have free Wi-Fi for everybody in Phuket. Okay. They're quite happy because once they land, they are hungry for signal, right? Apart from plug to power the battery. You know, it's the two things. We also have a program whereby when they cross to other islands, we have a wristband, insure, and GPS based. So if anything happens, we know where they are. And with this wristband, we can also think forward about them purchasing anything through this wristband. So it's gonna follow up on and on and on. In terms of medical tourism, I think maybe you can craft up a number of systems whereby not only the patients but also the family members can enjoy the time while they were there, wherever it is. And we are moving our smart city to Chiang Mai also, to Khon Kaen, as well as the 3 provinces of the Eastern Economic Corridor. Cybersecurity, please make sure you have staff doing it. Very difficult to find, very expensive. Start doing it now. Very expensive, hard to find. Our ministry is targeting to produce about 1,000 within 2 years for cybersecurity experts, some of whom may go to the medical field, to the medical cyber. Last but not least, digital government. This is also very exciting. We have many ministries. Each and every ministry has some kind of big data. A lot of them do not realize they have big data. And it turns out to be just MIS, right? You're very familiar with MIS. MIS is not enough anymore. It's part of digital now. We are talking about big data for data analytics. We talk about understanding the needs of the consumers. We are talking about the loopholes where we can fill the gaps and provide better care and better service. Let me give you one example. Lately, just 2 weeks ago, we luckily could get big data of 5 ministries. Ministry, education, public health, human security, interior. And then we asked the experts to try to give us a powerful case example. They came up with a case of a setting for which one can predict the quality of babies from birth to 3 years old, depending on the quality of the parents, okay, and the relation between the two. And this is not econometrics. This is big data analytics. So in the beginning, they get a number of factors that highlight the quality of the kids, of the babies. For example, the vitamin intakes, the frequency of seeing the doctors, the development stage, and the food they eat, for example. And then they classify these 270,000 kids, okay, classify them into 3 groups. Good health kids, not so middle, sort of intermediate, and pretty poor, okay, into 3 groups. Then they got socio-economic data of their parents. Okay, this is one-to-one now. It's the real parents. Okay, socio, for example, how they live, what sort of sickness they have, what sort of welfare they get from the government, the level of education, the poverty level, and the loans. Then they group these also into several groups, and then use AI to link these 2 groups together, machine learning kind of thing. In the end, they get some sort of formula. If one can identify the trait or the quality of the parents, one can expect what kind of babies they're gonna get. And that's not sufficient. Then the Ministry of Public Health can go to the parents early on and then advise them to do things that will improve the rating of the future kids from red to yellow, from yellow to green, that sort of thing. So this is a power that we are trying to get. And the Prime Minister is at the forefront today in asking our ministry to coordinate all ministries and try to get this kind of examples up and running, provide better services to the people, and improve the efficiency of government agencies. Okay. This is also very exciting, but it's going to take a lot of energy and a lot of efforts, especially to tackle the ownership issue. Each bureau has power and owns the set of data. Very difficult to release. So coordination is key. Now, let me end. I think I have spent a lot of time already. Can I have the next slide, please? By giving you a few examples. I said about village internet. And we try to seek opportunities whereby, millions and millions of villagers will be able to benefit from the village internet. So many times we try to get the doctors to go along. One time I was lucky to get the Minister of Public Health with me to the border, Thailand and Myanmar, Mae Sot and Umpang is very remote. And we set up this two sites linking together through high-speed internet and computer equipment and the system for sort of teleconsulting, telemedicine. It worked perfectly. Real patient at Umpang, okay? Real EKG graph for the experts at the other bigger hospital to give advice. Real transfer of X-ray and MRI image, no problem at all. In the old days, we struggle a lot because of the delay time and the clarity, the resolution, not anymore because it's high speed. So that's one good example. The rest depends on how ready you are as a government, as a hospital to invest. Because it's not the kind of operation that is 24 hours, 7 days. Okay? So one needs to look into the cost effectiveness and the way to use it. We also have a large numbers of village health volunteers. It has been quite a success story for which they provide basic advice to villagers for many decades now. We probably have more than 1 million today, spreading throughout the country. So we are now trying to equip them with digital technology. And in Thai, we call them e-osmo. It happened that most of them are female. E is electronic, but let me tell you, they are better than men. They are more patient. They work in harmony. The places that we go, it's very pleasant, very happy place. And they work together. They now can share information in a more effective way. Even the private sector, the carrier now try to do some kind of a CSR, helping them to set up the platform for their line connectivity, the big line connectivity. And if they can be linked to public health facilities, then in times of trouble, in times of emergency, no problem. They know as a matter of minutes. And I think all these can be realized because of the fact that we think through the system of how to better utilize digital technology. But it has to be incorporated with the consideration of the human side as well. Don't rest upon just the dumb technology. We are smarter than that. Okay? So it's the human side, it's the technology side, and the management side. A lot of projects fail because of the lack of management capability and seeing it through for different stakeholders in the project. So ladies and gentlemen, I have used up a lot of time. I have no knowledge or very little knowledge of your sector, but I can feel that you can benefit a lot from digital technology. And I know that through your good work, you'll be able to help a lot of people in need. And a lot of people who do not have to suffer as they used to have to suffer because of this new connectivity and because of this new care through the support of the technology. And I think it is a good thing that you are gathering here because the conversation that you have would be useful not only to Thailand but to your core countries and to the region as well. And through collaboration like this, I think good things, innovative things can come up. And please don't just plan it. Let's do it. Thank you very much.